Hi everyone, today's video is about a map called The Abandoned Keep. It's a map by Smeric. He posted a link to download the map on KaM Remake Discord. When you go to it, it's not available anymore. I asked him why, and he said it was because it was one of his earlier maps and he didn't really do much scripting. And you can see from the map script file that it really isn't anything but some messages. And if you've seen other maps of his, I have only one video before this one so far about his maps, and it was about the Skull Collector. On my channel, if we go down to the building and economy playlist, I have it right here, automated market example build. But for other maps of his, some of the scripts are thousands of lines long. So when he says before I learned anything about scripting, he's not kidding. So this is version 1.0. I'm very impressed that he didn't make any updates to the map after he released it. So if I go ahead and start the map, I'll fast forward just a little bit so you can see what's going to happen. They're going for the nearest house in this mission, not the nearest unit, so that's why they're ignoring my units and they're just coming down to the storehouse like normal. And there's quite a bit of them. If I press F11 and reveal the map, we can see a huge wave is coming. In order to deal with this, you have to kind of use some AI abuse if you don't want to lose all your army. What's unique about this map is you're not given any food at the start, but you're given these. You have a lot of starting troops, and to feed them all, it's going to be difficult unless you were to trade one of these unusual starting materials for food items, or maybe for flour to process into bread if you get a better deal from it or whatever. My plan is to only feed the sword fighters, the crossbowmen, the knight, bowmen, and the vagabonds. And the vagabonds only once. They're all going to die soon enough that I won't have to feed them again. So just the bowmen from here also, but not the militia. So a lot of troops spread throughout this keep, as in the castle definition. We have an AI ally here who's very good. When I complimented Smeric on the ally he gave us, he said this. So I guess it just depends how you play, but I'm going to do a speed run of this map. I haven't done a speed run commentary in a while, and I thought I would give Smeric's map some love. I can't believe it's been 10 days, but Dunners1993, he's the one who actually asked me to make this video. I don't understand this map extremely well and how it was designed and the attacks and everything to explain it to you like I did with my 2.5 hour long map special video on Border of Life, or even with this video here that I have a map special on as well, right here, of which Dunners commented on and requested I make this video with. But I'll just tell you what I know. Obviously there's coal here, but there is no coal here. And you have an iron mountain, lots of gold, and you have some starting coal, but you don't have much gold to begin with, so part of that is going to obviously go towards gold. You have to make your way to gold, and you don't have much stone. This 111 is for fish count, not for the stone mountain count. Part of this is snow, so you can't build farm fields or plant trees on every tile like you normally can, so it's pretty much impossible to build a lot of normal farms as in something like this. So I actually made a pre-build here, which I'll get back to in a minute, that it's very particular field placements and number of fields and number of farms also that will supply 6 pig farms. As you can see, there's 3 here, 3 there, and also 1 stables. In the replay, you'll see that I don't build it exactly like this, but very close. But the idea is because you're given buildings, and he didn't really script much. As I mentioned here, this is all there is, and there's nothing for blocking buildings. So if we go to the map and click on the houses, none of the houses are blocked. You can build the town hall, the market, and well, you better be able to build a market in a map like this. I just traded pigs and skins for coal as needed. That's why I have all those swine farms in my pre-build. On KaM Remake Discord, Slowpoke Limbo, I assume this is how he built. It says 9 hours and 37 minutes, if I have that right. He has 6 farms here, but these kind of farms is not enough. He would need 7 to fully supply these pig farms or swine farms. But as you can see here, this one doesn't have corn right now, and that's what you want to avoid. It looks like he doesn't have enough serfs, but when I mean fully powered, in my pre-build, they're going to be getting corn non-stop, and they're going to always have at least 2 corn in them, maybe more. I have my distribution of wear set to 5, just so that guarantees that corn doesn't back up in the farms, or at least not very often. Also will prevent them from ever running out of something to do. But obviously he uses this side for timber, where I use this for farms as well, and I only use this little bit here for woodcutters. And in my replay, I don't even go for these trunks at all. I trade some pigs for trunks, I think, something like that. We'll see. Obviously, there's plenty of fish, so if you're smart, you will utilize that. All I will say is to put them here, not over here. For some reason, this one, it expires too quickly for some reason when you put them here, and then anywhere around here. I'll show the tiles grid when I get to my pre-build. But before I do, I want to just talk about the map briefly. I beat it in 2 hours on my second try. On my first try, I beat it much closer to 3 hours than with this one that this video is about. But basically you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This one's a joke, and shockingly, it's your enemy. Usually all militia little towns like this are your allies, like in the Shadow Kingdom Mission 7 that we all know. But I guess this one and these 4 here are all geared to attack your AI ally. They're going for the nearest house, and so that AI ally is closer to them, unless you build your houses up here that they may be, like if we click this and then click on this and then this, and I tried to find the AI start position. Yeah, over here, this is the AI start position. I don't know if it's for him or what. That's what I was looking for. Either it's the closest house to this, wherever this is placed, or from the units themselves, from the groups themselves, either one. I guess if the AI start position is not specified, then it's going to just go from where the defense locations are, which you can get by this. And I'll be talking about defense radii a little bit later, as I did in several of my map speedrun video commentaries, because he does a good job with defense radiuses. It's the first map creator that I've seen. I don't think I've seen that many maps in my life to speak of, but for the ones I have seen, most of them are like the Shadow Kingdom, where everything is huge and uncalculated pretty much. This is a map that I'll get to in a future video, but just a map like this, for example, that we click their defense radius. They're very large. These guys' radius is the entire map. But anyway, so all of these players I think are going to be attacking your AI ally, but he's got a lot of troops and he does produce quite a bit. He's not loaded with stockpiles of weapons, as you can see. He has lots of shields, but not very many iron armor, and he will be producing some. He's given stockpiles of resources to create them, but at least it's better than nothing that he has some smithies here, and even iron smelters, or iron smithies, whatever you want to call it. And the AI enemies are the same way. See, like this one doesn't have anything in the barracks, so it makes it more realistic and fair. So even though there's a lot of players on this map, it's not as hard as you think. If you are familiar with typical maps with classical AI, that they don't build well, so you typically have to give them a pre-built town and stockpiles of resources. Okay, so the way this goes is kind of confusing, but the tricky part is this here. This blue you can walk on, but this blue-green you can't. So you can walk on the snow, you can walk on here, so it's a very narrow passageway. This tower doesn't reach as far as you think it does. If I click this and I show tower's attack radius, yeah, it ends there. So your units have to be very close to the cliff here for this tower to throw stones at you. But this one's a little bit more dangerous. I'm just going to uncheck the tower radius now. This one here, the closest to your AI ally, because there's this mountain that divides, and we'll start with the main player, so I'll get to that in a minute. And I said earlier that I'm going to get to my pre-build in a minute. I guess it's going to be more than a minute, but it'll be after I talk about the AI players just a little bit. But this player here, I'm going to go for him first, because if you attack him at the beginning, he's very weak and apparently will become strong. I mean, he's not given stockpiles of weapons at the beginning, but he's got 4 iron armor smithies and 3 iron weapon smithies. Simultaneously, as I go for him at the beginning, I'm going to be going for him because he gets stronger. This fills up with units. He also will send some, like this is player 5. You can either see that by looking at the right number, like there's 2 numbers in these rectangles here. One of them is the same for all of the groups around here, so that's the player number, and you can also see the player color up here. But he has some groups down here. Look at this. This is from player 4, this is from player 3, and these are from player 5. So you're going to have troops here from different players that you have to kill them all to not block this area. So that makes this map interesting. And they're going to keep coming. Like if you were to neglect not killing one of these at the beginning, then you risk getting attacked by them if you were to like build over here, which would be very unlikely. And yeah, there's more here too, that they're much closer to your town, that these are the ones that would probably be attacking you. but they would probably go for them first. And once they destroy some of their buildings, then if you have some around here, then they will certainly, like if you have an iron mine here, which I don't, then they will certainly go for that first. But them, they are going to probably go for these buildings because they're closer. But anyway, he's pretty weak at the beginning too, to believe it or not, and this is not much of a hassle to take out, and I'll show you how to do that. That's why I go for them first. This one over here is a joke. This is probably the easiest of these 4 to take out. I'll show you how to do that, of course, and then I will do this one. And this one, this is really a joke out of all of them, obviously. There's no defense at all. The defense radius of these are large, and these are very large. That just one hit, and you can lure out all of these militia, lure them right to your AI alley to slaughter them with the crossbowmen. So those 5 players that I mentioned just now, all the ones here in view, I take out within the first 28 minutes. Then the rest of the 2-hour and 7-minute replay is for taking out these enemies over here. Really not much to say about this, but this is a maze. It goes like this. If you follow my mouse, you have to come like this. And I'm going to zoom out some so you can see it in one shot. But it goes like this. And then over here, it kind of becomes a little bit unobvious, but you have to, again, remember what I said earlier about over here, that you can walk on the blue, but not the blue-green. That you have to come this way. This is not open. This is blocked here, so you can't, you have to actually go all around here and then around here to get there if you want to come here. And you only need to come here to destroy this house. Because the victory conditions, if I hover the mouse over here, is you have to destroy only the main buildings of the players and you will win. Except there's one thing I don't understand, and that's that these knight here for player 11, the gold player, I didn't win until they died. So I don't understand that part. It doesn't make any sense, at least from what I see here with the win conditions. So take note of that, and you'll see that at the end of the replay. And I'm going to put the replay in the video description too. So before I begin, if you want to follow along or look at it yourself and then just want to see a certain part, I'm just going to try to go chronologically in order. To get to here, you have to come up and then very narrow passageway here and down over here and in places like this. I'll show in the replay, but I'll say it now. The purple player is probably the strongest player for defense. Overall, this map's defense is decent. I would say it's even on the good side. There's a bunch of single leaders. They're not going to become any more than a single leader. They're not going to fill in, I should say. These will fill into 15, and these here will fill into 6. But that's it. Then the rest of it stays the same. I don't know if you see my video about Border of Life, but I have one that's only 16 minutes long. Not so much my 2-hour and 32-minute and 41-second video map special about it. This one, which this replay that I'm showing you now is about, these crossbowmen here, they rotate because of their priority with the defense positions. So for example, if I were to look at their defense positions, we were looking at the right number earlier for player number, so you can see which player is what. And like to distinguish these 2 players, there's actually 2 black players here. You can just click on this and then 2 people and then this, and then temporarily change it to a red. Don't save the map and then play it, because then you have technically modified the map and it won't look good if you want to show other people a replay. You can now see the difference between these 2 black players. The left number, the lower it is, the more priority it has. So that means the lower number it is, the less likely it's going to move to another location. The less likely they're going to rotate like this. They're rotating because I lured out some crossbowmen here to start with. If we were to look at their defense position info, this is player 13, but they have a priority of 14 and 13. You see that? But this one has 12, 8. And you come down here, they have 1. And then on this side, they have 9, 10, and all that. But the catch is, I lured them out too. They're 8. So that was my mistake, so to speak. But I wanted to get as many as I could, because this player has 6 schools, so you want to kind of do that. You want to lure out as many groups as you can, as fast as you can, to kill a player like that. That would explain why the crossbowmen over here are rotating, because all of these here are bigger than 8, so they have less priority. They're going to go to replace the group that was here that I lured out. So these single leaders are going to rotate as they're killed, and so will all these other groups, and you'll see that in the replay. The way Smerek did it, it's unfortunate though, because it's in descending order all the way across. So you could just put a whole bunch of crossbowmen here and just keep firing in this group, and that will pretty much take care of everything for you. And as they're coming down here, you can sneak in mounted units like Knight or even Vagabond, anything. And if these units are already gone or being lured out already, you could sneak one in along this wall here and come up here, and there'll be no crossbowmen to fire at them because they're all making their way south over here. Even if it's just a few tiles, a few seconds of no fire is going to make the life of a difference, especially for Vagabond, which are unarmored mounted units that you are given 6 of at the beginning. As I mentioned earlier, the town hall isn't blocked, so you can build a town hall and make your own Vagabond too. As you can see, my pre-build, there's no town hall anywhere, and I only have one. Well, I even have my metallurgist set, but it goes here. That's where I have my metallurgist. I only have one metallurgist because all I'm going to be doing is training Knight. And my pre-build, it's in blue because I chose to be blue because I just wanted something other than red once in a while, and my AILA is science, so I'm going to use blue in the replay. If I click on the defense positions again, there are no invisible defense positions, so to speak. Every single place for this player in red, you can see every single group that he has, even if they increase in size. Unlike over here, right, there are invisible defense locations where there will be a group in the future once he becomes more organized. So this player here is not really much of a threat, and there really isn't that much defense from him to speak of. His defense radius for these are not very big, so you have to get pretty close to lure out these pikemen, and I'll show how to do that. But the real player for defense, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, was the purple player. He's pretty strong. He's got 2 schools, which is really not a big deal. I don't think for single player maps you'll have more than 2 schools for one player. Sometimes you will, especially Chinese maps. This player also has 2 schools. It's interesting that this player has 2 sword fighter groups over here, and that's it. The rest is owned by this next player. And this is a nice, well-defended area, especially because of the purple player. So I'll talk more about that when I get to the replay and how I took care of him on my second try. On my first try, that's what really made the difference with the time. I think it was like 20 minutes. The rest, this is pretty much as expected. It's messy, and you have to lose some units, unfortunately, because it is a narrow passage, but not that many. Again, overall, the defense for this map, especially for the players over here, is decent or even on the good side. I wouldn't call it an elite defense. Like in the map Border of Life, not only does it have an elite offense, by 5 hours they're going to have waves. When you combine them all together, it's equivalent to the biggest wave, wave 60 from the map Invasion. So that's an interesting video to see if you want to see a quote-unquote live playthrough. I have a playlist dedicated to those type of videos. They're mainly battle missions or initial battles, something like that. So that's what I mean by elite offense. They attack you with a lot of units constantly, relentlessly. But even in this video here, where Dunners1993 commented and asked me to make a video about this map, The Abandoned Keep, that in this map, the City of the Scorching Sun, it and Border of Life are both by Don't Talk, and he knows how to do elite defenses. So I wouldn't call this map an elite defense, but with all the single leaders rotating around, the maze and the narrow passageways, and the sheer number of players you have to kill, I think overall you could categorize this as an AI defense map instead of really an offense map. I know that these groups will accumulate here. I didn't let this game go for very long before I took them out to see what they would do, and I didn't want to know what they would do. I wouldn't call it anxiety, but it's just a habit that I said, let me take them out as fast as possible. They're easy at the beginning, especially this one and this one. Compared to how they are later, they get a little bit more difficult. That I wanted to just get them out of the way and then make my way down here. But in order to be able to do all that, you have to be strategic with how you manage the beginning, the initial battle, which I think people, if they just try this map, and I don't think it should take more than 10 times, probably less than that for them to get the hang of it, but I'm going to show you in the replay how to not lose any units, at least not unintentionally, to kill all of the attack waves that are coming at you, barbarians, bowmen, whatever, they're coming after your buildings here. So I'll get to that soon, but I want to talk about my pre-build. After that, then I'll start the replay, from which I'll then talk about what I did. Alright, so now to my pre-build. As I mentioned earlier on in the video, there are 6 pig farms, and unlike this build where they're only partially supplied, not fully supplied, like this one has no corn in it from what I can see. I have some extra space here. You'll be seeing it over and over again, but basically if I were to draw some fields here, this is where the edge of the map is. You can't build anything past where I have things placed, but I expanded this. It's a long story, but I wanted to test the farm efficiency. That's something that you may know about, maybe from seeing my video here from a while back. It's pretty long, but it covers everything you need to know about the most efficient farms or single farms, and if you want to have multiple farms, to have them spaced out a certain amount because there's an overlap here, for example. But I was testing the farm efficiency, and farm efficiency basically means not the most efficient or least efficient. It just means the rate at which a farm acquires corn over a set amount of time. That's all it is. It's a rate. Based on the timings for how long the pig farms run, then you have to pay attention to how you place your fields and how many farms you have and the number of fields you have and all that. That if you wanted to, in theory, make just enough corn to fully supply them, which means they have enough, they're running constantly. If you just wait a little bit after harvest for a little bit of corn to accumulate, then you'll have a little bit of surplus forever, but it will never become any more surplus. It will stay exactly the same surplus throughout the game. But the idea was I wanted to have 6 fully powered swine farms and 1 fully powered stable. 2 stables would have been better, but if you start with one early enough, then as you'll see in the replay, it's satisfactory, I think. And there's 12 farms here, by the way. That's how much it takes with this limited building space. And as I said at the very beginning, you can't, like here, you can't put a farm field. You can't put fields anywhere. So I eventually destroy not the bottom one, but the top vineyard that you have here to fit a pig farm. I have enough fish that I don't need the wine after a while, even though I'm feeding a decent portion of the initial army that you're given. But I will eventually be making sausages. This pre-build has the existing mountains in the way that you can't really see except for this one. I removed this existing stone mountain that was here, but it's not in this pre-build because I needed to test the farm efficiency, and I did that with the script. As you can see for the gold mountain, I have situated my fields that you could use 3 of the maybe 5 or 6 gold mine slots. Like you can't put a gold mine here because I have the school here, but the thing is, as you'll see in my replay, I built the school here at the start, and I built a quarry here to get rid of the mountain that was here at the start, but then I destroy the quarry and replace it with the farm. I destroy the vineyard and replace it with the pig farm, and I destroy, or I intended to, but I didn't actually in this replay, I forgot to, destroy the schoolhouse that was here and put a farm there in its place. So that's what it takes to build a high productive town in an area like this. You can't just go with how things initially are. You have to, just like with a coal mine that expires or quarries that the stone mountain expires and you can build something in place of it, you have to do that. And also with the barracks too. I built a barracks here at the beginning to train my knights because my barracks is way up here. I can't afford to wait to build my barracks in this long road to get to it, and when all the weapons are here it's going to tax the serfs, so you have to build it close. So I built it where these pig farms are now, as you'll see in the replay. And I didn't want to build my market here. I think it would have been better over here, and the sawmill would have been over here maybe. But the sawmill should be in the center of the map, and that's pretty much where it is, the way I have my pre-build now and how I built it in the actual replay to come. But this market is primarily going to be used for, and I have a second market here that I didn't even use, but it's going to be primarily used to trade pigs and skins for coal. Unless you want to go way up here to get the coal, which maybe Smerik intended you to do, that this is not supposed to be a 2-hour game, but maybe an 8-hour game or longer, that you can definitely afford to go up there. But I like to keep my town small, and this is a speed run, so I just kept my town below here. And I've been saying this is probably the 3rd time I'm trying to get to it, but the reason why I wanted to build 6 pig farms is for the amount of coal that I would need should I have had, and I'm going to go to my build ratio tool. Let's say the duration is 60 minutes long. I want to make 100 pieces of iron armor and shields because I'm going for knights. So let's say I wanted to go with 100. That means I would need to, I'm double left clicking by the way. For those who don't know about this tool, I have it in my playlist here for Building economy, you have to have Microsoft Excel installed on your computer. It can't be online. You can't just use this as a normal spreadsheet. This is a spreadsheet that you see. It's hard to believe for some people who see that Excel is just looks like this. But yeah, you can make it look however you want. Basically, if I have 100 pieces of this, I want to have 50 swords because we're making knight. And let's say I want to have one stable like I say I do. And let's say that I wanted to have 3 metallurgists running. So if I click on the calculator here and I change this to 3 and I do it by changing the number of schools I have. Now I have 3 metallurgists and I have a little bit over 1 iron smithies, but this is not enough. We want the iron weapon smithy to be almost running constantly. And so I did this ahead of time, but I think if I change this to 50 minutes, because this is how I did this, but it doesn't really matter. You can figure this out in any way you want. But if I make him, I think it was 65 swords in 50 minutes. And then if I were to double this and make it 130, so that it's a 2-to-1 ratio, then this here is almost exactly 2 iron smithies. So that was the goal, to have almost exactly 2 of these, and this is almost exactly 2 of this, and this is a little bit less than 1. So you have to kind of stop this sometimes and then let it go, stop it sometimes and let it go. But these I can pretty much let them run all the time and it will be pretty much exact, and let these run all the time. So this one you only have to let it stop and go, stop and go. So I'm aiming right now just for the number of coal mines that I need. And now that I know that I need 9.22 coal mines if I were to have 3 metallurgists, which in my pre-build I only have 1, but I originally was thinking to use the town hall because, as I mentioned twice already, the town hall is available. For example, if you, because you may not want to do a speed run, if you want to use the town hall and you want to have 3 metallurgists to power that, but you also want to have these 5 buildings here, then for them to run constantly, uninterrupted, based on the building rates, we're going to need 9.22 coal mines. But because I didn't go for the coal here, and I'm going to be trading for coal only, I want to ideally make several pig farms. And to know the exact amount, if I go to the market sheet and I add a market, this is an automated market. As I talk about in the automated market example in the Skull Collector, another one of Smirik's maps that I have a video on, at least partially with. I didn't really beat that map or speedrun it. I just built a town to survive the attacks because someone was having trouble just with that. But I talk about automated markets in there, as well as in this video here, where I talk about this tool itself and how to use it and everything. And I'm going to select the resources trade. It doesn't matter if it's pigs or skins because they have the same trade value. And I'm going to trade for coal. You could trade sausages for coal. That's a little bit more bang for your buck, or maybe leather or leather armor. But to keep things small, you probably just want to build more pig farms and that they be fully supplied, which most people don't know about. You have to have a special script to be certain of that, especially when you have a tight building space like this where not every tile, you can't put a field there. You have to be very precise. I'll show in a future video on how I did this and the script I used, and I'm going to give it to you. And it's pretty neat and user-friendly, as much as it can be at least. But anyway, I want to double left click on this so that I can select this. And it was already selected for some reason, but you can select any number, and I click that. And then it's going to require 12.45 fully supplied pig farms to trade just the skins. If we weren't to trade the pigs, use all the pigs for sausage for food, we would need 12.45 fully supplied pig farms. Typically, like I said, people don't fully supply a pig farm at all. It's very unlikely that someone's going to make that many pig farms, and you can't in this map. It's impossible to make that many. But if I trade pigs and skins, then I can half this. So it would be, because this is Excel, if I say equals this divided by 2, so I don't have quite enough actually if I were to have 3 metallurgists collectively for the town hall and the town, if I were to have 3 metallurgists but only have 1. So I have extra pigs and skins, so I'm going to use the extra pigs and make sausage out of it later on, most importantly, and also trade it for trunks and for stone, because there's not that much stone in this map and there is no stone mountain to make your way to later on. That's how I figured out to have 6 fully powered pig farms to be the primary source of my trading. So if I click on this and I click this and I make this 6 by changing, let's say, the butchers. Okay, So I need, well, this farm efficiency is kind of low, but let's say that if I wanted to have, let's say 10 farms, I double left click on this, by the way, to pull this up. 85.63 farm efficiency, that's impossible. Well, that is possible with metallurgist. If you trade gold for corn, then it's possible, but not with farms. It can't be any more than 81. Realistically speaking, 81.3-ish, somewhere around there, 81.6 tops. So if I double left click on this again and say, well, okay, I can't do it with 10, how about 11? Well, 77.85 is possible, yes, it's less than 81. But it's still, for a map like this is the kind of farms you have to build, pretty much even worse than quote-unquote normal. So we're talking about very inefficient farms overall. So if I double left click on it again, what about 12 farms? Okay, all of a sudden it drops to 71. Yeah, that is more of a standard amount. It's even less efficient than normal farms are that people build with the standard grid system like the one I showed at the beginning of the video. But that is still hard to achieve when you can't build a field everywhere and you have such a tight space like this. But this is it, and from this point on I'm going to say show tiles grid and flat terrain, and if I come back to this in the future I will be looking at the map like this. So because it puts things into perspective, and it is good to have, maybe if you have a second monitor, you can put this on one monitor and look to it as a reference as you're building to follow it. I guess one last thing I can mention about the pre-build is, yes, I have 2 ends. 2 ends is better than 1 in that case when you have just one primary food type. But I guess one more thing I can mention is that I wanted to have a double road, and you'll see that when this mountain is gone, then I can build a double road all around here, at least this part, because traffic was a big issue. If I would have moved the storehouse, you see this is where this building is, but if I would have moved the storehouse over 1, it would have been better. So instead of this, I could have just moved it over and put the field here and made this road more like this to kind of reduce the traffic. I mean, yeah, there's not really anything I can do with this tight space here and to keep the farms as efficient as they need to be. 4 of these farms like this are actually enough to fully supply these 2. This cluster here is pretty much independent of the other cluster. And that's how you want to do things. When I release my script in the future, that's what you want to do. You want to keep a cluster, as I call it, of pig farms with farms that the farms nearest to them are enough to fully supply them, and only them, not any extra, not any less. That way it reduces the traffic, the required number of serfs. And it's the first step to beginning to play this game optimally, because the fewer serfs you need, the less quick you need to go for food and gold, and the earlier you can go for building farms, mines, especially iron mines, which will ultimately help to get a larger army in a shorter peacetime. But yeah, so what I was just saying, my last comment, is that you can move these buildings around. I put a stables here actually instead of a pig farm. I decided to put a stables here to have an early stables instead of later on up here. And I didn't even put the 6th swine farm at all. I forgot to put it, and I didn't put this farm here. I kept the school here. I forgot about it. I should say I have 5 fully powered pig farms in my replay and 1 fully powered stables, and you can see that with my game and how I play things, that was definitely enough for this speed run, which I'm going to get to in a moment. But that's pretty much it. That's all I have to say about the map and my pre-build, and what I'm going for. It's just night, so I only need 1 metallurgist. Alright, so without further ado, let's get to the replay. Alright, as I mentioned, I have this replay in the video description. You can play it in r15472 to follow along, or just for the future, just to let you know. First things first, because there are so many commands that I had to do, notice that I can move around with the game pause. So this is a feature that has been available since r14787. So if this is new to you, that you can move around with the pause, just to let you know that I use this a lot to just pause it and look on another part of the map. You can't click the mini map in the top left here to navigate it while it's paused, but you can still scroll around and zoom out. That's faster if you want to make it more efficient to go to the top right corner of the map really quickly, just to zoom out, and then hover the mouse over wherever you want it to go and then zoom back in. So this is how I literally did the beginning. First order of business is to take these 2 bowmen and these militia, bring them over here. In order to do that, there's some bowmen above here. I need to therefore move my knight first, because I'm going to use him to take the fire while these units that are vulnerable to fire can pass through. And so this is how I'm just showing you now that I'm going to get back to the replay, because this is actually me just starting the game over. But I click him and I pause it again immediately. Then I move up and move him there. Pause it immediately. So this is how I did it, and this is how I play often now. That I don't slow down the game speed, but I do pause frequently and can do multiple commands. Not in a fraction of a second like you can if you slow down the game speed, but at the same time, it's still much more than what you can do normally. And I did this predominantly just right now in the initial battle to be able to move all my troops around, because it's a lot of actions that need to be done. You need to link a lot of units together and position units to be ready to defend from the barbarians, and also get other units in the position up here to either start to take out the villages from here or the one down here, or maybe even assist the AI ally in the fight, because if you care about him a little bit and save some of his units lives, and then between the both of you, you can take out more of them faster. And even if you're not doing a speed run of this map, you still might want to be able to build in peace. If the enemy is just coming from this bridge here and is going for your AI ally, where this is very well defended, this side of him is very strong, that if you were just to maybe follow my steps and do it in a realistic amount of time, not like what I did, that it's still realistic, you know, I didn't cheat or anything, and I didn't slow down the game speed, I just did what I showed you with pause. But if you at least take out these 4 here, and this one should be easy. If you can take out them, why not take out him too? But then you can eventually make your way up to the coal in peace and have a little bit more fun with this map to build yourself up to then eventually go and take out them. Meanwhile, I assume that the attacks from them are going to get more intense over time against your AI ally. It kind of still keeps the tension that if you don't like the way this map is situated with all of these players everywhere and it's not fun, remember what I said earlier, that the players don't start out with heaps amount of weapons, so it's not as bad as you think compared to other maps in that way, that they don't start out with 65k of everything and all they need to do is train recruits to go in there. Or even worse, scripts put recruits into the barracks automatically. That's more than I wanted to say, but now let's actually start the replay. Okay, so yeah, that's my first action, is to move the knight, and then second is to move them. Now I want to move my sword fighter, the crossbowmen, and these bowmen, as well as link the bowmen around here together and move all the bowmen over here and the crossbowmen here facing up, and the sword fighters to be what I use to fight. And I'm starting to build, and it's really not much to speak of. I'm just going to focus on my army because it's just too much to see at one time. But as you can see, I'm linking all the bowmen, like from here for example. Very important to get them all over here. Alright, what I want to do with these militia, I wanted to actually make my way over here to take out this town. That was my intention, but I think I waited for the rest of my militia to come that way ultimately. Both of these bowmen I'm going to bring over here to start firing at and luring out these crossbowmen. When they're facing this way, I'm going to fire from them on the side so that they get lured out. These crossbowmen are facing this way. Once they're lured out, then fire at them, lure them out, then fire at them, and that's all you have to do to start luring them out. My vagabond are going to help to flank bowmen as they come down, and it was challenging. That's the thing, is if you're doing this, it's challenging to get all these units in here before they come. You can let a militia, because militia are not really important, you can put a few militia here to make it more realistic and buy you a little time just to die, to kind of slow them down from coming through this narrow passageway. Just maybe make them into single leaders to maybe kill some of them, or at least slow them down as much as possible. But I saved some militia because I am trying to take out 5 players as fast as possible, not to lose any units, because I made use of the pause feature and navigating around the map while paused. I was able to get them in here just on time. I'm just moving these units out the way. I'm going to use the axe fighters. I don't think I use the lance carriers for anything. They're pretty much useless, and I'm going to let them starve. I rewinded a little bit because I'm going to show you what I did with my knight. He actually took fire on his way up. It's sort of like when you want to build a farm on the way to a gold mine or something. It's the same idea with speed running being most efficient. You want to do a task on your way to doing another task. And I had to hit them there because these barbarians have a defense radius that it was just enough that it didn't get their attention, because I'm going to lure them out to get killed later. I don't want them following my knight right now because I just want to use him right now to lure the ranged units, or in this case bowmen, away. But I moved them over there and let them come closer and gather all together so that they're less dangerous, then kill them, right? I'll keep our eye on him. He already fired, actually, right? So I was being extremely efficient. This is not the first time I played this. This is the second time I played this all the way through. But the beginning here, I probably have done it completely. I've killed them completely, I think 3 or 4 times. I wanted to put on a show for you guys and to also show you almost the most efficient, if not the most efficient way to do this. There's my knight here. I took that opportunity. I'm going to flank them with him over here, just dispersing the bowmen as the barbarians are over here. I'm going to put some of these vagabond over here pretty soon, as soon as all these crossbowmen from the side are lured out. These crossbowmen don't have as much priority as these do. So once I lure them out, because he's not training recruits right now, just villagers and serfs, I'm going to get to him just in time that he just starts to train them. That's the whole idea of going for him first. But once I do that, I'm just going to use close proximity, which is called auto attack range in the map editor, just to get close to them and draw all these single leaders out one by one. It's going to take a little while. I think, yeah, I went and hit them right here. I think that took 2 save reloads because there was 3 bowmen, one after the other, so it was not too unrealistic. But if it's like every other unit is a ranged unit, then yeah, you're going to have to use more save reloads. I got my axe fighters into position because I think, or at least I intended to use them to help flank bowmen, but I'm not using the lance carriers for anything at all. Continuing to draw out ranged units from there. I'm going to let the barbarians get in contact with my AI ally first, and then I'm going to take the vagabond and hit them from the back. These are the bowmen that I lured out with my knight, so there you go. And I'm going to continue with this group too. I'm just going to first kill them. That gives them time to make contact with my AI ally, and then I can come flank them from the back. I'm also simultaneously exploring this land because I'm going to get a bowman to shoot at them from this direction, then move him down a little bit, shoot at them from down here. Once they're making their way to him with the same bowman, I'm going to come and shoot at them. Then I can use him over here for what I'm going to do with them. But now I'm going to take my vagabond over here. Most of the crossbowmen are gone now. I just have one more group, it looks like, to lure out. I'm going to begin to use them to help take him out. There's this most wanted bowman coming, and my vagabond are making their way. Now over here, it starts to get heavy with barbarians, one after another. And I didn't mention it before, but I have my bowmen in a square formation, have them specifically over here, not directly behind the front line. I'm not saying like that the leader with the flag would be over here. I have it shifted down some, and I also have crossbowmen separate and facing this way. I found that was very effective to kill them, but still, on occasion, I would have to swap out the sword fighters. Right here, I swap them out. I'm going to swap him out. I just see who is getting hit last, and if there's a whole bunch of barbarians nearby that he's going to continue to get hit or potentially continue to get hit. It's 3 against 4, so the probability is high that he's going to get hit again. I swapped out units like this, like him. He might be, oh, it was him next. But I swapped out units like that when I beat the map Invasion with 0 losses. So if you haven't seen Invasion without save reloads, or this one, it might be interesting to see. But that's basically the secret to beating that map with 0 losses. I mean, there's a lot more to it than that, but it's not something I would recommend you try. If you have never played that map, I would never recommend anyone to play that map. It has to be one of your life priorities, literally, to beat that map. Okay, so just close proximity to get them out, nothing new. There are several single leaders that you have to get out like this, so it just takes some patience to do this. Right now, this is my town. That's all I have at 5 minutes when I should have had more. Maybe not a whole lot more, it gets worse over time. But I just want to say this right now, that as you see this replay, and you see how lucky I am and how I seem to be very lucky against the AI. It's not as easy as you think, especially when you want to build a town at the same time, because if you change an item on the storehouse, train a unit in the school, make a market trade, place any kind of plan, or cancel any kind of plan, it will all affect the outcomes of battle. If battle's going on, if the enemy AI has a barbarian that you killed and he died instantly, but you were to do any of these actions that I mentioned, or anything that deals with your town, then that same barbarian may all of a sudden mysteriously survive and kill 2 more units before he dies. And with this map, I don't know if it's the remake version or what, but I noticed, it was just a repeating pattern. Literally 8 to 10 arrows it would take to kill one of these crossbowmen. Not just here, but on all parts of the map. But it takes 1 to 3 hours at most for them to kill my crossbowman or my bowman. I guess it's a little rant, but all I'm trying to say is what you're going to see in this replay, that it's incredible luck on my end. It was the reverse. Just playing this game at face value, it seemed to be the reverse. In some situations, I outnumbered them with 12 knight to 3 pikemen, and I had ranged units to back them up, and I had my knight hit them from the back and from all directions, surround them immediately. They still managed to kill one of my knights, and they weren't all hitting at the same night either. All I'm saying is that the AI was incredibly lucky. For every lucky moment you see I have, it's fair to say that the AI was just as lucky. But I reloaded saves so that the luck was in my favor, because this is always a show. I'm always trying to put on a show. If I wanted to go with the randomness from this game, I'd play it safe like this, with single leaders and swapping out, just keep it would be really boring, and it would take longer to complete the map and all. But this is all a show. That's what this always is. And so that's why I use save reloads. But just letting you know that it's not easy to do this, and it's definitely not easy to build a town at the same time. I probably placed every single fence you see 10 times. I had to keep replacing it over and over, especially this time with battles going on, because it would mess up the outcome of the battle. And because of that, I actually get behind in my town. I don't build it very efficiently. Even though I built this town 10 times within the first 30 minutes, the effort doesn't really show. It's all like a butterfly effect, literally. If I move a bowman over here, then I'm going to have a crossbowman survive over here, when he would die instantly otherwise. The AI will have the same amount of luck. The game doesn't discriminate between players. I just explored this land with the knight, but I want to lure them out with close proximity, but I didn't do it with him. I'm going to do it with a vagabond instead. This is the same vagabond we saw earlier, killing some bowmen over here, because I want to do something more valuable with the knight. I need to use him. He needs to take arrows and stuff like that in another place. I'm going to use close proximity with my vagabond and just do this kind of stuff and bank on this happening, and then I can reuse him or grab a new one that's fresh, that hasn't gotten any crossbowman arrows. But simultaneously now, what I want to do is, because I want to lure them out, I need to use my knight to take the fire. And this is something you're going to see throughout this replay. I have maybe one knight taking the fire and dancing. Then I can have either one unit that can pass by without getting shot at, or a whole group. Whatever the case may be, that's the most effective way to go against a whole bunch of ranged units and not lose any to them. With save reloads, of course, but it won't be that much trouble. And it actually makes situations like that, which would be impossible otherwise, possible. Dancing with more than one is not going to do anything. You need to micromanage one unit. The hard part is to get all of the, or most of the ranged units to be firing at him before any of the other units become in range. That way they all stay fixed on killing him, and therefore no arrows, at least not directly, will be fired at any of their units that you're trying to pass through a narrow passageway like this. By this time, the wave of barbarians and all that's done, so this is really the part of the map to pay attention to. I want to lure them down, so I'm just going to take my vagabond and put him over here. This bowman here will catch them, and then they're going to come in and die. Okay, so all I need to do is come hit this bowman. That's going to trigger their attention. They're going to stay fixed on him even if he were to die. With a link before dead, if I would link another unit with him. I mentioned that before and I'll be saying that again. But basically, if I were to hit this bowman and just let my knights stay there and let them kill him, if before he dies I take another mounted unit of any kind and I link him with this knight before he gets killed by them, then because they're not lured by close proximity but by a trigger such as me hitting a unit, a serve, building, or whatever, that they're going to go and find that unit or that group that I linked to him before they killed him here. And it only works with non-ranged units, so it won't work with bowmen or crossbowmen or rogues, but it'll work with every other military unit in this game. And that's a way to lure out units even in deep parts of the map where it's unrealistic or impractical to try to hit a building and run with the knight all the way across the map and make sure that they don't make any contact with him. He doesn't get killed by some towers you missed along the way or whatever. So it's called the Link Before Dead or LBD trick. So I'll use that over and over again. You'll see that later. I'm not using that now. I can hit this bowman, get all of these barbarian groups' attention. Not them, but I'll get them later. But right now I'm getting ready to hit with my bowman. I think I was doing stuff with my town that I wanted to just wait a moment. I zoom like this so we can see both at the same time. Yeah, there from the side, move him down, it's important. And you just have to wait. You have to just move down a little bit, then they're going to think he's out of range even though you're going to move him up. So that they are out of the way, then you can move up as soon as you do that. But before I grab them, I wanted to catch all of these non-ranged with this bowman so that it saves his life and he can flank these bowmen in the meantime and then afterwards make his way in here. And all I have to do is take one of these vagabonds and hit this building, and then that will lure them out. And therefore, I just have one vagabond left and a knight, and that's enough to block this school. They're not training recruits yet, and as long as you block the school, then that's enough to pretty much take out this player. Right now, I'm almost done with this. This is pretty much what I would do, and then I just take another one and continue to lure them out. I did go up with the bowman here and catch them. I came back to it now. I'm luring them out. There's still a group or two of barbarians left that I need to get with him. But now I have some vagabonds sitting here to take arrows from them temporarily while I get their attention. Because as soon as they get within range of firing at him, they're going to fire at somebody near him, not necessarily him. So even though I didn't want them to fire my vagabond, they're weak, I took advantage of that they were, so that I could still use him to come over here and pick off the remaining barbarian groups here to save this knight's life. I think there's one more. It's like, I thought that I got them all, and then there was another one. That one. And that's the end of it. And this was a very close call, but as I said a little while ago, this is all a show. It's probably one of the most exciting parts of the beginning, the first 28 minutes when I'm taking out these players, and that's why I spent this much time on this. A lot happened, but now he's pretty much done. And he is almost finished as well, because you just have to lure them out and sneak in and then do the same thing with the school as I mentioned here. And I guess I have to do some work with this one. So I'll shift my focus over here for right now. All I wanted to do is get these bowmen out. He's not going to immediately retrain them, and when he does, it's going to be this group over here, not over here. So that group is actually not triggered when you hit any of these buildings, so it doesn't even matter if they're there or not. I just wanted to get them out, just something to do right now to get ready, but I'm going to be focusing on these two players right now. And I also am going to, I have my militia here and some militia here. I'm going to do a LBD to this town, Link Before Dead, to get most of these militia out and to get slaughtered by the crossbowmen, as I said earlier in the video. I guess this is really what we need to see. Yeah, it took maybe a few save reloads to do that. Just be careful, just go to the right side, grab them as you go along, and then make a curve with him. Any other way will probably take a lot of safe reloads, but that one didn't take that many. There's me luring them out with the one vagabond, sneaking through, going for the school. I have built the sawmill, going for the gold mine, but it's going to be delayed, unfortunately, because of feeding hungry units, making trades, and stuff like that. So really nothing interesting with the town to speak of. Now they don't have any more backup groups that are going to come here. I had to hit over here because it didn't get their attention unless I did. If I would hit any of these buildings here, then it would get their attention. If I would come hit the building from down here or any of these, it would get their attention. But that's all I needed to do. But the problem is he can't escape very well. So I just let him die. I did an LBD with him with this vagabond here. As you can see, he's moving up because I linked him with him, and he's going to follow it too. Just like they follow the death, he follows the death too. So every time you do a LBD, you have to stop whatever unit you link to from going there. Or I should say to them, because he's drawn to them as they're drawn to him. But once that's done, then I can put a vagabond here and take care of this player. I guess you heard the death or saw the death of the recruits. That was the last recruits, and from this point, because I attacked the building, I was able to kill some laborers, and so therefore there's some priority with training the laborers and serfs and not recruits, and that's the end of him. So he's pretty much dead. He's pretty much dead. Now I'm going to make my way over here. Now, I already lured them out with the LBD, so I just split him off, and I'm going to come here and just hit that and let him die with the LBD. I linked him with him, and that's it. I mean, they're all gone except for one group, and I didn't even have to lure them out. As soon as they start firing, then there you go. But okay, so now I'm getting ready to take them out. So you just do this. I did one LBD there. It gets out a big chunk. At this point, because I was very conservative with my vagabonds, I could afford to lose one. You can only easily bring mounted units through here because these bowmen fire at them. But I'm going to do a special effort here to save a vagabond from dying, just to lose a bowman instead. I don't train any ranged units in this mission at all. As I mentioned, I literally just made knights. So I didn't like to lose any bowmen, but I thought it was worth it because I need as much vagabond as I can have in order to destroy this town. I needed them for here. And that's pretty much it. I have set the rally point for the woodcutters at different times to go and reach different trees, just to let you know. If you left click on the woodcutters and then right click somewhere, the flag will appear and you can reach trees that the woodcutters can't normally reach within reason. But after it's done, I'm going to destroy it and make a barracks here because I want to train knights. I want to be ready to come over here once I wrap up here. I'm destroying buildings with my axe fighters in the meantime. At least for this town. I'll get to this one later. Because this group has so few units, I'm going to just do this. And I know that when I do an LBD with him, which I'm going to do, this group will remain. But that's good because this group is a new group. The recruits that are coming out are to fill it in and not any other group. So I know it's not ideal if I were to be able to hit one of these bowmen that is coming down here to refill this group. That would be ideal if I could hit him and not get in close proximity with any of these groups, but it just didn't happen. The bowmen stay close to one of these groups and it just wouldn't work. So I just did a loop with him and then came back and made contact to lure out all the other stationary non-range groups. I linked him with this vagabond here. As you can see, he's moving, but I stopped him. That way they can come die here. And I fed my iron armored troops. It seems like Smerik did what most map makers do. They make the iron armored troops more hungry at the beginning than leather armor to keep it traditional. So I managed to feed them, and I'm going to have hungry units in here, so it's a risk. And I did something towards the end of, before it's all said and done, to save their lives because it's still the timing wasn't right. But this was kind of close. He's very close to dying from hunger, as you see. I hit a serf. That's the thing, is that I took advantage of some unit that's not normally here to trigger their attention. But I had to wait for this lance carrier group. That's the thing. They were down here, but now they're making their way to replace the group that was over there. But I had to wait. If I were to do this LBD right now, it wouldn't have lured them out. And you want to lure out all the groups you can. But here I decided to, because if I were to come in here, hit a building with my vagabond and do a LBD with him so that it draws out all of these non-range groups. So that's my plan, is to come in here with a vagabond, hit somewhere around below the storehouse right here, and I'll get them out, and them out, and that's the end of the non-ranged in here. Then with my one surviving unit, which is the knight, I come in here and block the school, but first go block the barracks. But in order to do that, I would have to kill the bowmen down here, and that would trigger their attention prematurely. So I just decided to wait and lure them out here, kill them, then come back in, because no bowmen are going to be created in the meantime to replace them. Yeah, unrealistic. Even with bowmen firing against a knight, it required some save reloads. Maybe I clicked on some storehouse icons, or I did something to kind of help with the randomness to go in my favor in the cases when he died. Yeah, unrealistic that he takes that many arrows. So he makes his way there, and what's unrealistic here, I've never gotten this lucky before. I've seen the AI get lucky like this, plenty of times, but not me. He lost some hit points from the scout, and he still doesn't have them back. It takes 10 seconds to get 1 hit point back, and he only has 4 hit points, which is the most in the game, but that's it. That's all he has. But pretty soon he gets fight with 2 of them, he kills him, and then he kills him. Yeah, not one of my proudest moments, but it worked. So I can say that's the one time I got lucky in this entire game. But right now, as I was mentioning, my bowmen are a little hungry and my serfs are coming. I just took the vagabond out, and I'm going to move him over here so that my AI ally can kill them. So that's the first 28 minutes. Right now, I'm behind on gold. It seems like the priority with the serfs is to feed units and refill the inn, not so much to get out gold to refill the school like I thought. They did refill the school at this point, but I got distracted. But I'm going to retrain recruits as soon as possible. Well, eventually, if not right now. As soon as the weapons get put in here, I block the pikes and the bows from getting stored in here, and I trade pikes for fish, because I built my fishermen's a little bit late from all of the chaos that happened earlier. That's what I did with the pikes. And I let the 2 pikemen that were given die from hunger. They're absolutely useless, as were the lance carriers. I'm just going to let them die. At this point, I think all the militia are dead, or I'm going to... my AI ally, he comes in here. I don't know exactly why, but he came in here and started killing the units, and that's pretty much all he was doing. But I had my starving militia. I came in here and just tried to use them somewhat to destroy some of these buildings. I think I managed to destroy all these buildings, even with some of them starving to death. And I managed to get my axe fighters in here to destroy all but one building, the school, before they died from hunger. But still absolutely useless units. I did not want to feed them. Alright, so pretty soon I'm going to be... they're already here. They're coming, and I'm going to begin to work on this player as soon as I can. I'm going to be training units as they come, because I can get this started. I need to get this knight out, but that's why I wanted to train them. I just needed 1 at the beginning. I'll just show that again because I was talking. But this is how I lured out the pikemen. Bowman has to get with like 5 tiles in front, in between, in the center here, between the crossbowman groups, to lure them both out at the same time. I do a LBD with him. It was worth it, even though I lost a ranged unit and I'm not going to be making any more. It was worth it. And I'm going to do it a second time when this pikeman group comes, and another newly created pikeman group are going to come to replace the other one. And then pretty much at that point, this knight is from the other black player down here. He's going to, I guess if you play this map, you know how it is. It's very easy at the beginning. Maybe this militia town, if you let it live, it's going to be sending militia over here, so combining that militia with these knights is going to look more intense. But now it looks like a joke. It's just 2 knight coming randomly. It's just no threat at all. And I put my sword fighters here that I had from over here. I lost one and I didn't care. I didn't really need any survivors, but I'm putting them over here to help out in the fight just in case the randomness goes against my AI player, that I have them to assist in the fight. And I'm going to use them pretty soon over here, but we'll get to that when it comes. That was the second and final time that I have to do that. Then I want to come and destroy these towers. So that's what I'm focused on, but I just want to get rid of them, obviously. So the purple player, I don't know if you noticed, so those sword fighters are purple. The purple player is going to start attacking, just sending a few single leaders every once in a while. So I have to watch out for them as I'm doing this. They may not technically be defending this player. Their offense has become defense in that way. Now my town is finally progressing, very slowly though. I think at this point when I'm attacking this player, that's when I'm least productive with building. Kind of kept up with it until around here, then I really started to neglect it and prioritize with this. But here, this was the key. This is why I wanted to destroy the towers. This is the first reason. So I guess the next reason, if I say now, will be a spoiler, but this is the first reason I want to destroy these towers, at least this one. I could easily maneuver him around in this area, because he's going to lure them out that way. That's a good way to take care of them and not have any losses. I'm just going to let them go up and put my ranged units facing that way, but then kill them when they're out, and then I'm going to lure out this group as soon as I can in the same way. They're not going to move up. They're going to stay right there. There we go. So I mentioned earlier that I want to just continuously kill this group here, and then all these groups are going to move down and replace it. So that's pretty much what I want to do, make my way down, but just taking care of some obstructions in the meantime. Alright, here we go. See, so that's the weakness of this map. Could have been stronger if priorities of the groups were numbered differently. I don't know if you noticed, it was a little bit fast, but he was gonna die because he took a lot of fire on the way up here. So I separated him and moved him away so that they will fire at somebody else, and therefore he survived, and I still at this point have all 12 knight. I have not gotten myself into a position at all to train anything new. I just have to work with the initial army that I was given, whether they were physically available or their weapons were available, and I just needed recruits to train them from the barracks. So things are going to go faster now, and even though this seems like it's going to take a long time, it doesn't take that long. I destroyed the second tower up here because I need to, which I did. I took a labor, maybe you saw it, I wasn't looking myself, but I'm using my sword fighters here to make an AI trap, I call it. It basically means that you set up something like this near an AI player's base. You just set up a chain reaction. So I'm putting a bowman here. When these big groups of sword fighters come, that's what this is for. To grab their attention by him. As they come up, this bowman's going to be able to shoot at them, so now they're no longer at him. They're going to pass by and not kill him at all. He can stay there as long as he doesn't all of a sudden magically turn around and start firing them and commit suicide, which I have to prevent. I didn't have any issues with him doing that, not him. But him turning around, firing at them when they come in here, that was an issue. So that's the next step, is that when they're coming to kill him, he catches them, or he needs to. But it was a big problem. If you try this, you have to frequently turn him around to face back where he's supposed to. Fortunately, in this remake version, the bowmen are now, when you halt him or you turn him to face a direction, he's actually going to obey you. Not in the previous beta versions, where you would have to physically move him up and then move him down for him to reset. We'll see the chain reaction immediately. So there's one, and then they'll catch him, so you'll see that in the background. But I'm just doing this, trying to lure out these single leaders, several of them all over this map. And that's all you have to do. It's just like making first downs in American football. This player only has 2 schools. Both of these schools, they're not even training. I guess because the barracks has enough recruits in it, maybe that's it, and it wouldn't make any difference anyway because there's no iron armor. So that makes this map easier. If this was like one of 2h6m's maps, in his earlier maps, and even in his best maps I could say, they were full of weapons. no matter what, and all they needed was recruits. And so these two schools would be training recruits relentlessly, and therefore it would be a fight with two schools. It would be hard. It wouldn't be easy to do this. I would have to be luring out these groups much faster. Yeah, so right now I'm in a good position. Not much replenishment going on because of what I just told you. I'm just trying to keep this area free right now. I am making some progress with my town. I placed all of these, trying to get my night production going. I have a stables that's been going for some time. I have 8 horses there and 4 here. That was crucial to have one early stable because my iron weapons, which I do have some, I think. No, not yet. I've just started to trade for coal. Ran out of the initial coal I was given. It was used for gold. I built the second storehouse here primarily for the gold to be stored because that's very taxing on the serfs. I've only got 43 serfs right now. As you can see, I'm going to have more soon. But that's always the key for me, is to keep serf count low. I built all 3 of these. Maybe I should have just built 2 until my serf count went up more. But I did store it somewhat to give a boost for my iron smithies when they would be coming. And that's all I have to say about the town right now. The main thing I was waiting for was the last sword fighter groups and knights or whatever that was coming here to stop coming, that I could put my bowmen through. Because they really help to speed this process up. Right now, I'm about to get this bowman here that remains after they're dead. And I'm going to bring him over here and start firing at the groups here and this group here, because the purple player is the strongest player for defense, as I mentioned earlier in the video. That was the key to kind of keep him weak, because his schools trained relentlessly. He had lots of iron armor, so he could at least keep retraining crossbowmen over and over again. Didn't have shields for knight per se. I don't even think he made knights. Actually, these knights belong to another player, not to him. They belong to this player way up here. So yeah, I don't even think he made knights. So therefore, with all that iron armor available and crossbows, he had 2 schools going, he had lots of recruits. It was quick replenishment of crossbowmen, so to speak, and that's what slowed me down with my first time playing this map. You'll see that soon. But here, just try not to get killed by them, and this is one instance when it's like, it takes 10 arrows to kill one of them, but 1 arrow, or half an arrow, I can say as a joke, to kill me. Interesting, but frustrating at the same time. So, just more save reloads. Again, this is a show, so save reloads. But here we go, I'm about to put him in. They need to take some fire temporarily, just like normal. There we go. So I'm going to keep doing that, and that's why some crossbowmen are going to be coming this way. I should say purple crossbowmen. See, throughout this game, I'm destroying the main buildings as I go. I'm not really in a hurry. I was destroying the school at the last minute with 2 sword fighters. Maybe you saw in the background earlier. But just slowly paying attention to that as I progress throughout the map. Make sure that I have gotten all the buildings. I'm going to come back for this one when I make night later, as well as these. But I've already gotten these with the militia earlier, so I paid attention to that and I got all these buildings already. I'm making steady progress here. I don't want to have my units come right on this road right beneath these buildings, but the road beneath it is safe. If not, then these pikemen are going to be lured. I'm going to be very careful not to do that, and it was kind of frustrating that I could have gotten to the purple player earlier, but if we look at the serf count for this black player, we can just watch it go down, because that's what I was really waiting for, was for the serfs to stop being trained, because if not, this black player would stay in the way if I just didn't tough it out and just use my ranged units to kill his bowmen. And also putting the crossbowmen in front makes this group more powerful overall, especially when you're doing a shootout with the crossbowman group that's in the distance. it makes it simulate a crossbowman group even though it's not crossbowmen entirely. So that's why I did that, and yes, it matters, yes, it makes a difference. But now the serve count is dropping, and when it goes to 0, here we go. I'm going to shake off the stones in this tower and use a bowman. I don't want to lose the knight to a LBD. That's a pretty much waste at this point because my ranged units have pretty much served their purpose. I'm pretty much done with them. So it's just no loss at all for me to do a LBD with him and then just bring my ranged units over here once I conquer the purple player's base. And there we go. So they're linked to a bowman that I have here, and it says that he's moving as course because I did a LBD with him. He's drawn to them as they're drawn to him. This part's a little bit interesting. I'm going to slow down the game somewhat, just ×3 speed. Before I did this LBD, I took a little bit of time to move all my units on the right side so I can go up while they come down. It's all about efficiency, just thinking one step ahead at least. Being 2 or 3 steps ahead is ideal. And with your town, you want to be like 20 minutes ahead. When you want to build the barracks here just temporarily, then destroy it. Build these in its place. Build this over this one. Build this farm over the quarry. And as I mentioned, I was going to put a farm here. That's why I have fields. It goes perfectly right there, but I just forgot to put it there. I didn't need 2 schools to train knights at the rate I was training them. This would have been enough, so that was a mistake. And I should have built the 6th pig farm, but I didn't. I could have built it up here even. Anything would have been better than what I did, but it was still just enough, and the game didn't last very long, that I could use more pigs and skin towards coal than making any go towards food, at least not towards the end. My town overall is fully built. I'm going to put a butcher's here. That's why it's missing there. And I'm going to put a butcher's here too. I think it can fit there. I just didn't place the fences for either one yet. It looks like my buildings are all full of coal. Everything is ready. I definitely have enough gold stored, and I have a little bit of food. I have some more food in this storehouse, excuse me. I'm going to be occasionally trading these for stone and some pigs for stone too. I think I might be low on timber. Yeah, I am. I'm kind of low on timber, but I don't think I build a whole lot more. But I might be trading some stuff for trunks later on. I don't think I build a woodcutters here at all. I wanted to do an LBD here, not that I really wanted to, but it was the best thing I could do because these 2 knight groups were going to be drawn to him, or whatever first triggered hit anything above here would draw them out. Since I played this map all the way through once before, I know that once I draw them out, more knights and units from here are going to come, and so I need to make my way up, and I'm going to keep my knights on the side here at the edge of the map to come and intercept them here in a safe place between buildings. So just killing those crossbowmen to allow my ranged units to come up. Waiting, of course, for these knights to come out. I'm just going to use the ranged units to fire at some buildings around here just to keep things going. And this is where it begins, so I have to get my other knights up here as soon as I can. And just putting them in single leaders like this on the side is all it takes. It took maybe 1 save reload because I lost 3, I think the most. But I didn't lose any with 1 save reload, and that was it. But I'm going to try to intercept them here with single leaders as soon as I can. And they're getting hungry, so I need to feed them. At this point, I'm about ready for reinforcements. It should be in no time at all that I'm going to train them to come out. And we'll see. I'll go back to it once we see the recruit number go down. Okay, there they are. I trained one earlier to come up here so that I can do an LBD with him from now on. And it looks like I might have to feed him before this game ends, and him too. What's interesting about this is that my AI ally was something. I mean, I didn't need him here to do this, and it was kind of funny that his crossbowmen were still fixed on firing at the buildings rather than assisting his comrades in the fight. But naturally, this is going to happen. I didn't need this, and it would have been better for him if he would have stayed at home for them just to come up here, but this happened. But when it's all said and done, there's knight survivors, and they were going to come back home, okay? They were going to come back home because their task originally was to come after this knight that I did the LBD with, but because they got distracted from deaths and all, they were going to come back home. And I had a bowman here waiting for them from earlier that I can do an LBD with this bowman here to remind them that I don't want them to come back home. Minor inconvenience for my ally. Overall, I guess it keeps this replay interesting. I'm going to have some more knights before the end of the game to help destroy some buildings from up here, because unfortunately not these knights that are hungry right now, they're going to be fed, but these knights here, they're going to be dying from starvation towards the end. I just didn't think that the game was going to last as long. I thought I would have finished it before 2 hours. If it would have just been 2 minutes longer, they wouldn't have died from hunger before the game was over, but it was just a missed timing from my end, and I might have lost a minute or so from my win time, or 2 minutes tops. But I'm not worried about it, I guess. I mean, I'm not trying to set a world record here. This was still not very intense, but it was I took this seriously. My first time playing was a more casual speed run, but this one I took more seriously. Have something worth showing to you. Just destroying this though, because I want to increase the rate at which these units are going to be coming out of here, to not back up, because I need to have some reinforcements come in and things like that. So I thought it was not necessary to have something to cause traffic. But anyway, this is all it takes, close proximity to get them out. Do a LBD with them because I wanted to get to these crossbowmen. There's no way to get to them right now without getting their attention from close proximity, because if I go a little bit left, then I get killed by them. So one LBD to get them out was enough to then put my knight in here after they come out. So here we come. Yeah, right now the gold player is training troops relentlessly. I mean, he's only got one school, so the rate isn't that much, but look where they come. They come to block this. And it's always a hazard when they come down here, just one. All it takes is one. That if my soldiers make contact with him, then it's going to trigger their attention here. Maybe not all of them if it's just down here. But right here is around where it's going to trigger everyone from here to come down. Not these knights up here, but everyone else in this area. Not them, but everyone else here. And like that. So I did an LBD with him. I have several knights in here, so I could afford this. The first time I won this, I had, I think, 16 knight total that I could take out this town with, so 27 was more than enough. I was confident that I could do some LBDs here. But I also wanted to win this as fast as possible, so I didn't want to make too many sacrifices either at the same time. Yeah, just keep it flowing. Keep the units coming and getting out. Before I go up with all my knights, I'm going to take 2 of them and come down here to kill the serfs from the gold player to kind of slow down his recruit production and to start training serfs, as we'll see in a moment in the school. Eventually when it comes, when more serfs keep getting killed from returning from troops that they couldn't feed or troops that they did manage to feed. Sword fighter groups of 3 keep coming because there's several backups here. That's where they keep coming from. It's not like this player has 2 schools, which it doesn't. There's really not much to say here. That's what you pretty much have to do. Just try not to lose units, but try not to delay, especially now. I know that I'm going to lose some from hunger, because you have to sit here and wait for all these serfs to die. If this is your first time playing, you might make the mistake to try to just get your knights to kill all the serfs, but these crossbowmen are going to kill you. Even though there's not that many of them, they will kill you. I only need 1 knight to destroy the storehouse, but I had 2. The game lasted longer than what I thought it was. That 1 would have been more than enough, but yeah, this part was tricky. You just have to wrestle with it. There's my reinforcements. That they're gonna die from hunger, but it's okay. I had reinforcements. Now this knight group, as I mentioned towards the very beginning of this video, I had to kill them in order to win, and it makes no sense because the win conditions for this map are to just destroy the main buildings for the players. It didn't mention that I have to destroy all troops for the gold player, but it looks like that's a condition, and there's no win conditions in the script at all. Once I found that, I let them kill him there, so it was just a amount of time that I could finish destroying the buildings, at least with part of my knights, to kill them simultaneously as I destroyed them to win it at least a minute faster than if I would have let the knights come all the way up to here to be killed by my AI ally and me, because I have my ranged units here. Only had 12 remaining. And of course my sword fighters were there too, but they weren't needed. Loading the save. 2h6m51s. So now that the replay is done, I just wanted to show this. I actually edited the script of this map so that it kills all of the, like if I go to the very beginning, you can see that it kills all the units and destroys all the buildings of all the enemy AI players. I kept my AI player alive so that I can build in peace and just actually see what I could do if there was no interference at all. And just to compare what I built and what I produced and the amount of time that I produced it for the quick win replay with what I could have had if I were to be able to build the town uninterrupted. Yeah, so I still fed the same troops and kept every condition otherwise the same as I did during the game to do a proper comparison. But I did suffer with gold because it seems like the metallurgist was not supplied with coal, and I did trade some bows, and even now they're reluctant to trade the bows for gold. So this build is not ideal, but at least it gives you a better idea of the potential of this build if I were to have built it with undivided attention. And you can see the time in the top, of course, too. I lowered the sound effects because the pig sounds are annoying to hear like this constantly. Okay, but as of right now, I have 9 out of the 12 farms built. So I didn't build the stables, put a pig farm here instead. So I'm going to go for a second stables and I think even a third stables later on. But my corn was racked up, I didn't pay attention, but I'll soon put another pig farm here. I was low on timber too. And this woodcutters took forever to be built. It's not like in my mod that I added a new feature that you could build by plan order, so that they don't build this first, even though I put this 20 minutes before that. I'm exaggerating, but you know, I think I got desperate and traded for trunks somewhat. In my replay, this is when I trained the knights. So I just wanted to compare. At this point in the game, I had 19, basically 21, right? At an hour and 37 minutes. Here at an hour and 37 minutes, how many can I actually build? Because I didn't build the stables early enough and I had a lot of spare corn, so I could have had more. I had enough gold, so I could have had 33 instead of 21. But I actually, because I made the mistake of building the stables too late, I actually had the same amount when I was focused. Not that I should be proud of that because I was focusing on building and nothing else. I mean, I was feeding troops once in a while, but that's all I was focused on. But even with all of that, just making a big mistake with the horses, in theory I could still only train roughly the same amount that I did before, even less, because I didn't go for an early stables. If you want to do this properly, you probably want to build 2 stables, and they won't exactly keep up with these armor and weapon smithies. 65 weapons can be made with these buildings. 65 knights worth of weapons and armor and shields. 2 stables is not 65, it's 61. If all these buildings were built at the same time, or I should say the stables got momentum, it has to be running like for 2 minutes to get momentum. So if 2 stables were built 2 minutes before these were started to run, even 2 fully supplied stables would not be enough to keep up with this. It would be close, but not exactly right. But in this build, where I had 100% focus on building, I messed up and didn't have a second stables when I could have. But even with that, all my might, it's just basically 33 instead of 21. If we were to average these out and reload some saves, it would be about 35. Could it be more? Yes, but I'm just doing a rough comparison, 35 to 21. But we saw that I couldn't really, even if I could, have made all those knights. I couldn't have fit them all here. It would have been worthless. I don't think any additional knights here would have sped this process up. The defense was good enough that I had to just play hit and run. Nothing really I could do. You could throw all the knights you want at this if you don't cheese it the way I did and play the way I did, and you would lose them all. I guess the last thing that I could say about this map is that I really like, I've never seen waterfalls of this quality. Maybe the rock here was a little bit straight, could have been a little bit more curved, but the water is just breathtaking. And different parts of the map where it's a dip here, and when I zoom out and I see the bridge here, I mean, this is like, if you just look at this and are annoyed by the troops, but take a step back and look at this. Look at, like, this is a high bridge over some still water, this waterfall, and the depth of the water here. Very detailed, very nice map. I'm just really sad that Smeric took it off for download. And I hope he puts it back up after this. I will provide the map to you in the video description so that you can download version 1.0 yourself. How he has this. Yeah, and even something like this in other maps, it's just all one continuous wall. But very, very detailed. I could tell how much time he put into this. And I really appreciate the map, and I'm glad that Dunners 1993 asked me to play this map. Not only was the building location challenging, see some map maker besides Don't Talk actually make decent defense radii for the defense locations. Just in case someone wants to follow my build, I'm also going to provide this replay in the video description as well. This is the one where I build the town uninterrupted. I played it up through 3 hours and traded for some iron ore when this mountain reserve ran out. And at 3 hours, if you don't go for the iron ores up here, you have plenty of food stored and you can make more, and plenty of gold as well. But if I click on the barracks, this is how much you can make by 3 hours. And I was trading some bows for horses towards the end that you could start earlier. I have some stored timber here. If you would build a second woodcutters here, it would be even more timber. So 50 divided by 4 is roughly 12, so 96 horses at least. And again, definitely enough gold, 229. This is a second gold mine that I started. And it looks like, yeah, I can build another gold mine here. I don't know if this one can get more gold that this one can't get, but yeah, just to give you an idea. And I guess most importantly, just to prove to you that the farms in this build supply exactly what 6 swine farms and 1 stable require if they were to be fully powered. You'll see that throughout this build I had a stables here and 1 here to consume the surplus corn, but when it's all said and done, if you were to fast forward it from this point, there's really not that much corn left in the farms, as you can see, and none of these pig farms or the stables is going to run out of corn ever, no matter how long the game goes on for from this point. But you won't have really any backup in the farms, just to show you that this is an exact calculation. So hopefully I'll make a video about how to do that type of calculation soon. If it isn't apparent to some of you already, if you're familiar with my previous farm efficiency script and you know my build ratio tool program, that you can double click on this and specify the number of farms and see what the required farm efficiency is. Hint hint. But I have a better script for it than that, and that's what the video will be mostly about, is just teaching you how to use that script. But overall, this build is just one instance when you can see the mathematics of this game at work. So thank you for watching and have a nice day.